Okay, here we are. Hey, Gare. I don't know if you remember that song back in the 70s. I think the singer's name was Albert Hammond. He said it never rains in Southern California, and it's probably true. But you know what? It does rain power steering fluid when you leave the high pressure hose off. Just want to make that clear. Just for the sake of the situation, you can see right there. But anyway, we are looking at a cranking situation. We have 4 channels on the scope. We have a transducer in cylinder 1 and a transducer in cylinder 2. We have a vacuum transducer in the intake, and we have a first look in the tailpipe. And what we're going to do is, first of all, let's get the monitor from stop wigging out. You can see the scope. Let me try to get the monitor back, and I will explain what's going on here. We'll try to keep under control. Okay, come on. Now, come on, baby. Come on. You got one more in you. Okay. This is going to be quick. Okay, what I did here, as I said, this is a series of videos. Last videos was on intake valve adjustment, valve overlap. As you saw in the illustration, you can roll the video back to where I first showed you. When I showed you the wet paper where it rained power steering fluid. Freeze that. Basically, look at it. You're going to see 4 vents on the bottom: exhaust open, exhaust closed, and intake closed. What I've done here is on cylinder 1, which is the blue channel, that's where one of our transducers is, I have created excessive intake lash on both the intake valves on that cylinder, and we're going to see the effect of that. And we're going to look at the waveform, compare a in-cylinder transducer in a cylinder with excessive intake lash compared to a cylinder with normal adjusted to specification intake lash. We're going to look at the tailpipe, and we're going to look at the intake pulse. So here we go. We're going to crank it for about 10 seconds. Okay, let me stop the scope and roll it back. Make sure we're running. Okay, so basically let's talk about, let me take one channel at a time. I'm going to talk about the blue guy first. That is our transducer that is in our cylinder, which has excessive intake valve lash, and you could see some difference right off the bat. First of all, we'll talk about its compression. We're all on the same scale, so we're going to compare red and blue. The blue channel, which has the excessive lash, we've gone off the chart. I have the transducers both scaled to 200 psi. It looks like the blue channel has clipped the range I set it at, which is understandable. There's a reason for that, and I'll explain that. The red channel is what we'd call normal. I'm going to say about 194, which is good compression for this Honda. The blue scale is obviously north of that. I'm going to deduce maybe 220, and there's a reason for that. First of all, we'll take a look at the pockets on red and blue. Blue being our faulty adjusted cylinder, and red is our properly adjusted cylinder. We'll take one thing at a time. We'll take a look at the expansion pocket. The expansion pocket on the blue cylinder is negative 2.5 psi. Okay, if I doubled that, I would have about 5 inches of mercury if we had a vacuum gauge on it. The expansion pocket on red, expansion pocket on red is about, negative 4.6 psi. That would infer we have worse compression on red, and that's a reason, and I'll explain the reason for that. If we doubled that, we'd be about, let me get the blue guy out of there because it was kind of getting in our way. If we look at red, we're going to say we got about expansion pocket about 4 psi. So if we double that, that'd be 8 inches of vacuum if you had a swinging needle vacuum gauge on it. The blue cylinder, which is misadjusted, has better compression than the red cylinder, which is properly adjusted. But that wouldn't help this if this were an actual situation. Let's get back to explain why that is. I'll go across the firing cycle for both. I'll try to get both. Right here is, you can see that dip there. Remember when I said that a cylinder with excessive lash will open. With excessive lash will open later and close early. We're opening very, very late here. We can see that pull down there. This is right where the valve opens, and it's late. If we ran cursors and looked at our firing cycles, and if I ran a cursor for, I'll try to get it somewhere ideal. Okay, and we'll go some rulers. Okay, we see we're very late on the opening here on the red guy compared to on the blue guy compared to the red. And that is because we have excessive lash. If you picture in mind a cam lobe rolling around, as there's slop in that valve train, it rolls around, it opens later and closes earlier. The closing early gives us that elevated compression. As it comes up on the compression stroke, it closes earlier. It's able to pack that volume into a closed cylinder, and hence the higher compression on blue. It really is undesirable. We wouldn't think that's an advantage, but nonetheless, just something to bear in mind when you see the effect of excessive lash on an intake valve. As far as the green, we look at our pulls now, and we're going to look at a pull at the intake pulls, and the red cylinder, cylinder 1, this is a vacuum pull for 4. That's its running mate. And if we went across the board, we would say 1, 3, 4, 2, 1, 3, 4, 2. Okay, if you look here, let me get the orange guy out of the way. We got a higher elevated green guy there. And let me just kind of, you see that? Now there's a reason for that. I'll explain that. And you got to kind of, the higher anomaly on green is right when the exhaust valve opened. It opened late. Okay, by the time it opened, the exhaust pressure is still closed, and all right, let me think about this. All right, okay, I've been through this. Okay, there's a reason for this. Okay, the intake valve in the overlap period, which is right here for this cylinder, for the blue cylinder, right around here, that's our overlap period. Okay, this orange pull down is when our intake valve opens. You see it's right in line, and then our exhaust valve closes. Okay, the fact that our intake valve opened so late left a little bit of pressure in that cylinder, because the exhaust valve, Jesus Christ, man. Brandon Steckler explain this. Why the kickback is so high. I'm thinking of Brandon Steckler. What did he tell him? God, we knew Brandon Steckler. Oh, shit. No, I can't. I'm just thinking about Apple on this. Intake valve. Oh God. All right, I think we're gonna have. Oh, no. God, I should have that book with me. What happened? Okay. All this trouble. Oh God. I'm choking. Why does the intake? I'm just choking. I should have that book. Shit. Can't do this. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. It's no big deal. All right. We're not prepared.